We are.
Welcome, everyone, to Two Guys in Hockey Talk with my rocking out partner and co-host, Evan. Evan, how you doing?
Hey, man, it's going to be a thriller, but it won't be from Manila. Man, I'm excited about tonight's show. That the music get me going. Guys, phone in for us. Complain to Facebook that they keep wanting to edit our copyrighted music. Like, come on, grow up, Facebook and Meta. It's just like, man, we got some great tunes. So just so you all know, that is by Penny Billionaires and the song Invincible. Take a look and give them a listen. See, man, how you doing this week? I'm looking forward to we say we have an action-packed and a full jam-packed show. This might be one of our fullest shows that we're ever going to produce.
100%. It's been very busy in the NHL. There's a lot going on. We are just a little over a month away from the postseason, or less than, I guess, if it starts April 16th. And there's so much going on in the NHL. And I wanted to get started first with Department of Player Safety. But before we jump into that, remember, guys, we're here every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We are on Facebook, on YouTube. Give us a follow and subscribe. It really goes a long way and helps us. We are on X at RevenEv or Hockey_2, as well as Instagram. So give us a follow. We are also on the Discord and Instagram. We love hearing from you guys. Please let us know what's going on. And of course, we have a website if you want to get the latest and the greatest news, whether it's Boston, whether it's updates around the league or AHL or KHL. We got you covered, as well as our former guests on there. And of course, a big shout out to all our sponsors. If you want to get involved, please let us know. Reach out to us at twoguysinhockeytalk@gmail.com. We love hearing from you. You heard that great intro, Penny Billionaires. Go check out their album. Thanks to all sponsors. All right, Evan, we're going to get into the Department of Player Safety because as of last week, we saw the Matthews injuries. We saw how there was a lack of response by the team. That's its own issue in itself. We heard that it was going to be a phone hearing, so not an in-person hearing, which is usually a Zoom call. And Radko Gudas is suspended now for 5 games. Now, he's been suspended in the past, although it has been longer than, I believe, 18 months. It sends shockwaves down the NHL, not only fandoms, but all around clubs. And it seems like people aren't happy. People aren't happy with the Department of Player Safety, and people aren't happy with George Soros. And as of the recent GM meetings, we had George Parros come out and kind of have a media day availability. He talked kind of about what was going on. So before we get to everything that's been going on, I think we want to wish Matthews all the best. That was not a pretty injury. I think it was an MCL 3, level 3. I'm not a doctor. I just play one on TV. But it didn't look good, and he's probably going to be out for the rest of the season and most likely, hopefully, ready for the new season next year, although Toronto is kind of looking at retooling. But who knows if he's going to be able to be ready for preseason and if he's going to be able to skate. So there's going to be a lot of things going on, a lot of decisions. So your thoughts on kind of the 5 games, and was that enough or shouldn't have been more? And then we'll get into Parros.
Oh, man. Where do you start? If you're a Leafs fan, man, you're sitting there, any of your favorite teams, whoever you like, and not even just your superstar players, but you take out a superstar, and I don't care what you guys say about the player, or how good or not good he is. He's one of the best in the league. And I am super pumped that Connor McDavid actually, when talked to about it, actually had an answer. Now, here's the thing, though. Department of Player Safety, for those that don't know, his name is George Parros. And if you don't know who George Parros is, and you're not as familiar in the hockey world following us here on Two Guys in Hockey Talk, George Parros used to be a tough fighter guy. That was his thing, fighting. And I don't know why you put a fighter in charge of this. There's been a lot of questions about this. Now, George Parros responded to Connor McDavid's call for an examination of the suspension process. He said this: we sweat over these decisions and we pour over these decisions every night, all season long, and we have a process in place that's consistent, and we have a team that works with me and together with me that evaluates all these plays, a very experienced team, a veteran team, guys that have been there since the beginning of the department, not to mention all the former players that have a large set of experience playing NHL games, accolades. And the guy goes on, he says some of the best have played the game there. So our process, I feel very confident in. We've got great guys who make these decisions, and I think the players should be confident in this team to do so. Now, can I just say, George Peros, grow up. Take some criticism. You have the best player or one of the top two, whatever you guys would consider, him, McKinnon, Celebrini, Kucherov. But Connor McDavid's calling you guys out to look at your process. You need to look at your process. Could you imagine Wayne Gretzky or Mario Lemieux or Bobby Orr complaining about the league? There's something that needs to be done in this process. And when the Department of Player Safety won't even say, well, we're always working on things. Don't be so defensive. This should have been, in my opinion, especially because it's a repeat offender, this should have actually been a 10 to 15 game suspension. Should it hurt the Ducks? He's on the Ducks now, right?
Yeah, he's the captain of the Anaheim Ducks.
In my head right now, in the middle of being flustered with this. But yeah, that's one of the things that I think. I think it was too short.
So Zylstra says that it's appropriate. Suspension was appropriate. I disagree. I think it should have been more, especially since he has been a repeat offender. Now, a couple of things just to note, because people may not know, both Connor McDavid and Austin Matthews are represented by the same agent, Judd Moldovi. So, of course, he's going to stick up. And so that's one of the reasons why not only Connor McDavid spoke about it, but also Judd posted that thing. I just think that it didn't look like a good hit. He got caught out of position if you watch the play, and he tried to make up for it. Now, he could have laid his body on the line. He could have gone full contact, body to body, maybe shoulder to shoulder, whatever it may be, or shoulder to chest and make it. But he deliberately injured a teammate or a player that, let's say Toronto is in the postseason or running for the playoffs, Evan. You're losing one of your best players. What do you do then, right? And I really think that it should have been more than 5 games. I think that he is a repeat offender. He has done this before. And I think George Peros has been in the role for a little too long, and you need to change it up. You can't say the process is good because hits keep coming and things are happening. And when the NHL prioritizes more so the notion of not to gamble, Shane Pinto, I'm looking at you.
That shows how long was he suspended for,
42 games. That they value, and he wasn't even the one at fault. I mean, he one of his buddies used his account, right? But again, you gotta value safety. These players know that it's a fast, hard-hitting game. That's understandable, but you really got to be able to doss it out a bit harder.
And to put some perspective in here, I just pulled it up. Okay, he first. Back in 2015, this started. He had an illegal check to the head of Mika Zibanejad, got 3 games. Then he had an interference with a hit to the head to Austin Sherzonik of the Flyers, 6-game suspension in 2016. 2017, he got a really bad slashing on Matthew Perreault, right to the neck and the head. 10 games he got. Then in 2019, he was high sticking Nikita Kucherov up high. He got 2 games only. And then now he gets his 5 games. So he's already been suspended 16, 17, 19, 21 games in the past in his career in the last 11 years. And if I can say this about the Department of Player Safety too, Pawel, is that we just had Zach Benson, who cut to the middle in his game, against Braden, and he gets leveled by Braden McNabb of the Vegas Golden Knights. They are Bettman's favorites. I still call that. I don't know why. It seems like the Avalanche and the Golden Knights seem to not even the Kraken. It's not because they're an expansion team only. For some reason, he just seems to love them. And they don't seem to get the suspensions. And this dates back a long time since they come into the league. Braden McNabb comes over and the Sabres took exception. They ruled it, the player, a full hit and not a head targeting at first contact. But if you look at that in like a live play, going super slow, my head still gets hit just because it's not the first point of contact. You are supposed to be in control of your body. He had more control of his body, Braden McNabb, than McKinnon had when he hit Ingram. So, man, come on. You said one wasn't, and that was less blatant, and this one gets nothing, and they even pulled back on the 5. Oh my gosh.
Well, and so let's look at the recent history. So Malkin recently got one for slashing. I think it was Rasmus Dahlin, and that was a slashing, and he got 5 games, right? And Malkin, we know that can be a little feisty in the game. But the last big one was Ryan Hartman when he went down and he hit Stützle on that face-off draw, right? The one-on-one in the offensive zone for Minnesota, and he got 10 games. Now, of course, players are going to appeal, and maybe they may not win, like the Jason Spezza situation where he won, but he had already served the 6 games. He just gets his financial compensation back.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really happen. Matt Rempe got it. Now, we know Matt Rempe came really hot into the league. He was fighting almost every game. He was getting more penalty minutes than actual ice time. But even recently in 2025, Connor McDavid got 3 games, I believe it was, versus Connor Garland, I believe, if that was the situation. But again, you got to be able to essentially get rid of this out of the game. You don't want knee on knee, and we've seen some knee on knees.
And if I can,
does impact a lot of players, and you don't want to see it again. Go ahead.
If I can just say this, even the guys you just talked about, Malkins and McDavid's, I'm okay with those the suspensions in the games they got. I know they're defending themselves. I know they're frustrated, all that stuff. It still was rightful. But to only get 5 games and be this blatant, there is talk that they want to say, if you hit a player and he's out longer, you might be out longer. Now, hey, before we move on, because we got lots to talk about, this is already going to probably about 7 minutes too long, this conversation. There was some tussle going on, is what we heard.
Yes.
At the meetings. Maybe quickly hit on that, and then let's move on to our next topic.
For sure. So apparently, because the GM meetings are happening, there was a heated debate that has emerged from some of the media that are there between one of the GMs and Gary Bettman about head contact. Now, of course, this fueled speculation on X/Twitter as to who it is, and rumblings have it, now we haven't verified this, we don't know, is that it's Eric Tulsky of the Carolina Hurricanes, right? So again, these guys, they're not completely Gary's bosses, but if they make a stink to their president of hockey operations or their owners, those are the bosses of Gary Bettman. And if they say, hey, listen, you're injuring our product, you're injuring something that's providing us good revenue, and you're paying, Toronto's relying on Austin Matthews to play because people are paying big money to see him, then you want to be able to protect your stars, but you should protect all your players. And you don't want that in the game. That's all it is. So, but I mean, we'll see what happens if there's a fallout. Gary Bettman usually has a strong leash on the GMs, but they have known to push back.
Yeah, well, and I think this was a good bite. If it was Eric or if it was someone else, I think there might have been another one in there that I don't want to mention just because I could be throwing out. I know Eric's name has been mentioned though. Anyway, all right. So, hey, let's move east, man.
For sure. Well, we're going to stick to another team in the Atlantic and one of the rivals for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and that's the Montreal Canadiens. And something amazing that has recently happened is Cole Caulfield scored his 40th goal in an overtime win versus the Boston Bruins. Exciting game, thrilling game. I know Team USA won, the Olympics, but I think he would have been a great addition for that team, and he was one of my picks to be selected. But good on Cole Caulfield for scoring because for a guy of his stature, having Martin St. Louis teach him how to play the game and score in big games and have 40 goals, that's impressive, right? It's a huge sign for their legitimate offense for that team. They have a good core there, and they're only going to keep growing. They're locked up. Both Jeff Hughes or Kent Hughes and Jeff Gordon have done an incredible job in Montreal. And, that Montreal is currently 3rd in the Atlantic, and they're competing potentially. And I could see them winning a round or 2 this year in the postseason. So.
You got to give it. Montreal is so close right now, right? Just so close.
There may be a 1 or 2 pieces away. Maybe a goaltender who's been there, a proven goaltender, and probably a top
center
pairing right-hand defenseman. Now,
Well, they need a center though.
I'll
They
go
need a
at me.
center behind.
Go at me. I understand you have Mike Matheson, you have Lane Hudson, you have some great guys, you have Arbor Jackeye, but those guys need a little bit of time.
Yeah, but they need
Ray,
a number 2 centerman, man.
well.
They need a number 2 centerman behind Suzuki.
That too. Yeah. And I know they were in on Kadri, but it didn't work out. So that's something to keep an eye on because Montreal's got a fun team to watch, and they potentially could be another team that, as they were the last team to win the Cup in Canada, they may be the first team to break that curse again. So we'll have to see how it goes in this season because they're probably one of 2, maybe 3 Canadian teams that make the postseason this year. So we'll see how it goes. And in St. Louis, Doug Armstrong not only is stepping down as GM of the team, but also has announced he's stepping away and down as the GM for Team Canada. He's going to focus on some other things. It doesn't mean he's out of the game of hockey, but he's going to let some other people, whether it's Julian Breezeball, whether it's Jim Neal of Dallas, maybe even someone as young and as eager to prove himself as Cal Dubas, potentially take over as the next one for the World Cup of Hockey that's coming up in 2028. There's going to be 8 teams, as we know, and there's been some rumblings there, as well as for the next Olympics and what that's going to look like because they're going to have to build another contender. Your thoughts there or anything to add?
No, I would just say that, they are a ways away. Steen has been working towards on that team for a while, kind of bring them in. What?
They could take Tom Fitzgerald is what Lee says. He's not happy with Tom.
Way to go, Ray. Hey, Ray, nice to see you, man. It's been a while. Absolutely. And Steen's been working towards it. So my interested factor is how much has Steen been involved in some of the decisions that are happening at the trade deadline even coming up that just happened? How much was he involved, right?
My understanding is that he started hiring and bringing in his own staff, including some Swedish Swedish development players to come over to help kind of
already
bolster the prospect pool. Already, yeah. He's already been part of that. He's learning. It's kind of like the Jason Spezza in Pittsburgh. He's kind of come in and.
So you're saying that what you're hearing is that they're paying for salary for someone already and they haven't removed anyone that was under Armstrong.
Correct. Yeah, they're kind of letting him kind of learn on the job, on the fly. Kind of
think how much money they got rid of. So they have lots of money to play around with now, right? So okay. Hey, let's mention though when it comes to the St. Louis Blues, Pierre LeBrun, regarding Robert Thomas, because they were close. It's just that they wanted a lot when it came down to seeing what they could actually do here. So I think it's really important to note that he talks. So Pierre LeBrun says the Sabres and the Utah Mammoth may circle back, as could potentially the Red Wings on Robert Thomas. I still think he'll be someone who goes in the summer. And I think there's always a possibility of the Canadians, if they can make something work as well. They got quite a bit there to be able to offer. And then the other names that have been mentioned are the Bruins and Kings. But I actually think, look at the Mammoth and look at the Canadians. Those are the 2 teams outside of anything Pierre LeBrun has actually said. So those would be the ones I would think of. Hey, talking about weird announcements and league decisions, the Ottawa Senators this week, they have announced a change in the Senators. This is just too weird for me. In their penalty for the Dadonov Vegas trade. Now, I know when the ownership came in, I even had mentioned, I don't know if this was really fair to the ownership that, because they didn't know this was going to happen. They maybe would have paid less, but they were to forfeit, their pick this year, their first round pick. Now, a year later, they're coming in and saying, oh, actually, we're going to give you the 32nd overall pick. You'll go from whatever you would. What if they would have finished 25th this year? And
why did they do it after the trade deadline, Evan? Why did they do it after the trade deadline? Couldn't have Ottawa done something there?
Yeah. Oh man,
they did go after. I think it was Warren Fogle, but what if they wanted to use that pick? Why did it come after that? This seems Bush League stuff. You can't enforce a punishment and then rescind it after. Oh, sorry, not sorry.
That's exactly. Well, and I think that was the exact thing that I was thinking, right? That you shouldn't be able to do that. And of course they paid a 1 million Canadian. And why Canadian? Everything is in American dollars, and all of a sudden now we're in Canadian dollars. Additionally, if the Sens don't make the playoffs, they remain in the draft lottery, but no, they won't be in the draft lottery. They are ineligible. So, guys, if they finish lower, they are in the lottery, but they're not in the lottery. Yes, no. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my
I
God.
don't know how it works. I don't know what it is. But I don't know why they even took the pick away. Like people make mistakes, but to punish them for that, like it just seemed silly.
Okay,
They also announced that there was no further disciplinary action taken for Arthur Kaliev with that investigation that happened off the ice. So that was something that we were just kind of monitoring, but they found no wrongdoing.
So, and here's another interesting point that this is just for me. Linus Ullmark, their goalie. Listen, media, would you stop interviewing this guy? He is actually a waste of space. Like, folks, like I understand he deals with his own mental health, but you can't go on. Like, you're being paid a lot of money to not just stop a puck, but to show your face in front of people and answer the questions. I get it. If once in a while you're just kind of short, you're a little upset, it's right after a game. But anytime they answer stuff, they ask him any question. He is actually rude. He's ignorant. Man, that's going to be a mess. I don't even know if he'll finish his contract there because you can't tell me they're happy with this.
Yeah, and Ray says, I don't think I've ever seen any sport do what the NHL did with the Ottawa situation. I mean, I would say the closest comparable, and Ray would probably know this, is the Kovalchuk, New Jersey situation where they came down hard for them circumventing the cap.
That's right, and they came back.
Yeah, and then they ended up getting it back, but they had that, what was it at the time? The $3 million fine. They lost the third-round pick and had to forfeit a first-round pick within the first 4 years, but the Devils kept pushing and delaying and delaying and delaying. And then they finally backed off, right? And I think Kovalchuk was in the AHL at that, or KHL at the time. He went to one of the other leagues. And so that's the closest comparable I can think of. If you're gonna do something. So now I'm looking at other teams that have, they're looking at the Ottawa situation. They're like, okay, well, what if we have something in our back pocket and we did some wrong? And, in a couple of years, the NHL will kind of die down and then we can get whatever it is that we need back. So again, if you're going to throw the hammer, do it. I also wanted to kind of quickly talk about, because in the GM meetings, it sounded like Bill Guerin also suggested that he is not happy with the playoff format. So we can get into that a little bit later. But again, GMs are starting to speak out more. Yeah. And this is not only a GM of the Minnesota Wild, but he's also the president and the GM of Team USA, who just won gold. So I'm sure what he's going to say is going to carry some weight, including if he goes to his owner, Leopold, and says, hey, what are we doing? We're going to speak up here. So, but we wanted to get into a little bit of the Devils. I know this is Ray's team. And there's been some stuff about, I believe it's Jack Hughes, the puck in relation to where it actually is. And so the IHF has reportedly secured the puck after the game, and it's for archival presentation. So it's part of the heritage, the history of the game. It's going to be great. It's probably going to be on display somewhere. And this comes from CEO Jamie Dismore, who defended that these are defining moments at the biggest stage, so they belong in a public display. But I believe Jack Hughes said that was his golden goal. It's being displayed in Toronto. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on kind of the situation?
Well, the Hughes' father, he collects all the memorabilia of all the kids. So that's an exception. That the reason why he's like, hey, I want this. I should be able to have it. They're used to the NHL and the formats and the way they do stuff. The double IHF is very different, the way they do stuff and collect for hockey memorabilia. But you know what? I actually think it's not a big deal to get your own puck. You're not talking about anything you wear and the puck that you shot with that. It can be decided if it was between you and someone else. But you know what? On the other hand, I think this is kind of a baby move. I really do. I think that you got to recognize that most of the, especially international hockey stuff, is left on file. Don't you want to have it in a Hall of Fame that people can talk about it? Or do you just want to sit it in your room? Sorry, you make millions of dollars. I know you're not getting paid when it's coming to the Olympics. It's not the same thing. You got your gold medal to take home. And that would be my kind of thought on it.
I'm not really sure what the rules are with the double IHF and international hockey, so I can't speak to it. I just know in the NHL they often will throw the puck and keep it away. Although there was that one instance with Jordan Bennington with somebody scored their first goal and Bennington tried to kind of hide the puck, I believe it was, if you recall, and a player had to go down and get it. So players do that just to antagonize each other. Let's get into the Blackhawks because there's some news there around some of the young prospects that they have because look like they'll make the playoffs, but they have some talent kind of through the pipeline here.
Well, we know they're going to be a bottom 5 team. They don't have a lot they're working with. Bedard is pretty much alone. But they have some cornerstone pieces. Nazar has had a rough year. That contract's not looking good this year. But they got Kevin Korchinski. They got Sam Rinzel. They got Levshunov. This in recent rounds. Now, Boisvert, very interesting. This guy, I am being told that he has massive entitlement issues. Interesting enough, in fact, talking to a couple now scouts that I now didn't know before the draft because I found this a really high pick. But when there were some people that would have passed on him in the first round, period. And the reason is because of attitude issues. He got sat out, so University in North Dakota didn't want him back. So he ended up going to Boston University, who didn't want him when it actually mattered. And apparently, like I said, Kyle is the only person that seemed like was willing to draft and take the chance. So we're worried about maturity issues. Good news is that can be fixed. They can kind of get a catch from it. But even his NCAA coach actually said that he's not going to call him a healthy scratch for that last game, but he just wasn't available. But now, Boisvert has signed his contract and will be joining Anton Frundell and all the others next year. So I do expect some big action. We'll talk about that and some other rumors and things a little bit later on here. But it's going to be a big year for Chicago, and I do hope that someone like Boisvert can actually turn into a good product as opposed, because I never want to see a red flag product, right?
Yeah. And sometimes it's a maturity thing, and it takes some time to develop. And we heard that with other players in the past, and we want to make sure that, or the team wants to make sure that they kind of know what they're getting. And oftentimes during the meet and greet with the teams, when teams are interviewing prospects, they kind of go through those things to get a sense of character, because you want to have a good room and you want your players to gel with one another, right? You don't want an anomaly because then they could create noise inside and outside. And that's been so far some of the NHL news around the league. We're now going to get into Around the Rink. Around the Ring brought to you by Flow Hockey. If you want to get some great young hockey content, go check out Flow Hockey. All right, and Ray's going to love this if he's still here with us. We've just been chipping away at some news with the New Jersey Devils, but I don't know if you remember this young prospect, Nick Merkley. He's playing in the KHL. He's been making some waves. He's 28 years old. He was actually part of that Kelowna Rockets team that Leon Draisaitl played on, and he actually was drafted in the first round by the Arizona Coyotes. Now, he's kind of bounced around the AHL and finally ended up in the KHL. Calgarian kid. He's playing for the Shanghai Dragons, formerly the Kunlun Red Stars, but he scored his 24th goal this season along with his 45 points, so he leads the club and the franchise all-time single-season goal records and point leaders. So although they're out of the Gargarian Cup contention, it's showing that he's potentially making strides. And again, at 28, you can always see a GM potentially taking a flyer on a player like this to play in your bottom six roles. So you never know if he gets a chance. He has played in the NHL, both Arizona and New Jersey. It didn't work out at the time, but things can always change. And if not, he's had a good, successful go of it and probably will continue on in the KHL.
Yeah, you got to love it, eh? When players actually travel over. What?
There you go. Ray says Nicky Mitz.
Is that what he was referred to out there, right?
Yeah. I love hockey nicknames. I think it's one of the most underrated thing in the NHL. But
that sounds like a flyer name. So hey, folks. So also the hockey club Spartak Moscow has decided to terminate the contract with forward Adam Ruzicka. So you guys might remember him. He was a Calgary Flame for a while. He was in the NHL. That he looked to be promising. Headed over there. Now, according to the club's press service, this decision was made due to the player's breach of his contractual obligations. So you know what? This is how I say it. Another day, just another surprise in the KHL. But he left the club before a game, said he wasn't going to play, and then he tried actually backtracking and apologizing. But his contract was terminated, which means he needs to actually now pay the money back to the club. And the other last piece that I found really cool in the KHL right now, ahead of the first, by the way, we're talking about, it was funny, you started the show, we said lots going on in the world of hockey, and we all know how much you love the NHL, because you always say, not in the hockey world, you say in the NHL. But folks, this is also, that's why we give you Around the Rink, to get away from NHL focus. Sometimes we give you the Revs Top 15, and we'll give other offsets of stuff going on. But hey, ahead of the first KHL playoff game, Evgeny Malkin of the Pittsburgh Penguins actually wished Metallurg, who is his former team, good luck. I think he'll actually finish his career there once he's done in the NHL. He'll probably play for a season or two just to finalize. But he wished him good luck, and he posed in his special anniversary jersey of his hometown team. And you got to remember, this kind of support is especially valuable for really the young players, because they're the ones that are taking the ice today against Tractor. When I say today, that was actually this morning. So I haven't got the follow-up on what's going on. I've been kind of busy trying to get a hold of all the other information. So some cool news, though.
For sure. And in American Hockey League news, teams are starting to make the postseason. We've talked about the Grand Rapids Griffins, who have had a heck of a season, as well as the Providence Bruins. They've locked up their postseason, but there's still others battling for the Calder Cup, which is going to be happening soon here. So it's always great to see these young rookies come in and perform. And then, of course, there's going to be some player movement and things like that. And players like the former Oil King, Trey Fix-Falansky, Columbus Blue Jacket prospect, he's getting some recognition with Player of the Week because he's been playing well. And again, not a big guy, but can be feisty, can get into the corners. He was the captain for the Oil Kings for a bit. Great player. I liked watching him play when he was here in Edmonton. But yeah, some great candidates happening there.
That's awesome. Let's just move over for a little bit around the rink to the NCAA. Let's just take a minute. I didn't get to mention this last week. We had so much going on, but I wanted to mention to you guys, they have what's called a hockey transfer portal. Okay. And it's going to be open between April 13th to the 28th. So a player is allowed to pull out of whatever university if they can get accepted into another. So when I was mentioning earlier about Boisvert too, how he left North Dakota, went over to BU, those are the types of things that they actually do. So anyway, interesting enough, that portal window is for undergrad men's hockey, and it gets locked into those days. There's only 15 days that they can actually make the transfer in that portal, and it's going to be during that time they can actually make a change around on it. So it'll be actually quite interesting to see how this is going to roll out, and see are we having changes in portal from guys who are CHL boys. That will also be another thing that I'm going to keep a close eye on. Remember, a lot of teams want to go to Michigan State. They want to. I see more players wanting to go to Penn State now, Michigan, Western Michigan, you name it. BU is always a popular place, as well as Minnesota, North Dakota, depending on where they're from, right? But all of this definitely has an impact, though, on how good a team is in the next years ahead.
100%. And one of the other things that has kind of emerged now, and this is a bit of a talking point for the NHL as well, but also between them and the CHL, just about 19-year-olds potentially rules to their development and being able to come in and play in the NHL or AHL or back to the CHL. Kind of, if a player is 18 or 19 years of age and plays in the CHL, he cannot be assigned to the AHL. He'd go back to junior. And the NHL would like this because some players are fully developed. They're too good for the junior level. They don't need to go there anymore, but they may not be essentially NHL ready. So they want to kind of go in between. And, there's a bit of control there. So again, as clubs can control these players, these prospects that they have, it would be good. And of course that could impact their draft status, development exceptions, things like that with the NHL. But the CHL is pushing back with Dan McKenzie, who says that that's going to drain the talent, right? You're losing top 19-year-olds, which makes the league much weaker in terms of quality and the product that you're showing. There's going to be fewer stars, then of course fewer fans, which in turn leads to less revenue. And a lot of these places rely on these stars, these prospects to come in and really make an impact. So we're going to see what happens technically.
So
There's still kind of uncertainty, but I'll let you kind of share
okay,
stuff.
so I'm just kind of I was waiting in on the text sent to me actually from someone just from those GM meetings a little more detail because we got some detail. So what it looks like, I'm just as I'm reading through it, it looks like what they're saying is so they put the new proposal. They've been drafting up for the last couple of days. The new proposal is looking like what it is. So they're worried all the players are going NCAA to prepare is what they're doing, which is okay. They don't mind that. That is a loophole that they can now do to get them used to playing with bigger players, tougher players. But by opening up an AHL spot for the 19-year-old, the team can keep their top picks. And this is actually called the Gavin McKenna loophole. It's the Gavin McKenna effect, or the McKenna effect is what they're actually saying. Because if there's that gap year, what they're hoping is they could draft a player, not have to leave the CHL and go to NCAA for a year or two, but they could actually go to the AHL, and it would only be the one player. So that is actually quite interesting. So it'll be interesting to see where they go from that.
For sure. And you wanted to kind of talk about the Humboldt Broncos situation because there's been some reporting in terms of that story.
Okay. So I'm not going to take a lot of time on this, and there's no easy way to talk about this kind of stuff, folks. So years ago, the Humboldt Broncos, Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League franchise, ended up in a fatal bus accident with a truck driver that hit the bus crossing over on their main highways in Saskatchewan, Canada. Now, I can't even remember the number. Most of the team, I think 2/3 of the team, lost their lives. It was crazy. Now, the Humboldt Broncos families are now saying that the television, CBC in Canada, has been censoring, censoring what they're saying and misrepresenting what the families are saying and selectively editing all these interviews. And they're all favoring, and I'm not even going to use the name of the truck driver, so I have my numbers here now. So it was 16 people who lost their lives. 16 people. That's crazy, okay? And they're saying we don't trust mainstream media anymore. And this was by former player Chris Joseph. So he's come out. He's been a big part of it, and they've just now said that's it. We don't understand. And it's not even that they're trying to get the truck driver deported themselves. It's that they feel like the focus is now being changed. It's like everybody's forgetting and everybody's feeling sad for the truck driver instead of realizing and not censoring at least what was being said by the families and letting people decide from there. So it's a sad story. My hope is that maybe media stops censoring so much.
It's a tough situation. There's no easy answer, and a lot of lives have been upheaved by this tragedy.
Yeah.
And, it was a dark day in the world and in Canadian history. So there's no easy way to transition to this.
Actually, let me finish. There was one other piece. Because we're already talking about some of the tragedies, and I had both these things planned to talk about. So Colin Dorgan, I think that's how you say his name. So his mother, brother, and grandfather were actually murdered not long ago in Rhode Island by his father, who had a mental health breakdown at a hockey game last month. But the good news, I don't know how you can say the good news from this. I mean, it's just hockey, but he was able to actually score the game-winning goal in double OT that sent his high school team actually to the championship. So I think I like the story of resilience here, Pawel, to be able to see them go. I mean, sport will never replace the lives. There's no way you can deal with that. It was a sad, tragic moment. But, I mean, I love the story of resiliency and that he stayed in the sport of hockey. Hockey should not have to do anything with politics or problems in society. It's the one place we can get away from some of those things sometimes.
For sure. And Ray Leo, just to transition, again, not an easy way, says Gavin McKenna has been an absolute terror since the whole situation that he had that we talked about. Yes. And Zilstra noted that lots of NCAA playoff upsets in the last couple of weeks. Yeah.
Yes.
You love to see it, right? That's why you love the game of hockey. It's the best reality TV that you got out there, right? There's so much raw emotion and unexpectedness that can happen. The other thing we wanted to get into is the Hobie Baker top 10 who have been announced, including Gavin McKenna, of course, Max Plant, Eric Pocomp, Trey Augustine, Ethan Whitenbach of Quinnipiac, TJ Hughes, Felix Trudeau, James Higgins,
Go James,
and Hayden Starboff. So Porter Martone, surprisingly, not on that list.
And he made the team, the All-Star team for the NC. Like that didn't even make sense.
That is incredible. So just think about all these guys who potentially could be in the NHL in the next few years. And
Strommel shouldn't have been. Yeah, Martone should have been on there, not Strommel. But and for those who love Gavin McKenna, folks, I think he had a chance, a 50-50 chance of winning if he hadn't had, because character is a part of the decision making. And I think that they'll say him breaking someone's jaw, which was not really broken, by the way. Right. But defending someone who calls your mom a whore, I guess that's not allowed. So he'll get drafted first overall. Don't you guys worry.
Yeah. Final 3 announced April 3rd. So
yes.
It'll be interesting to see. Quickly, if we have time, who are your top 3? Beyond top 2, Gavin McKenna, I feel like he's going to potentially take it all. But who's your other 2?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think McKenna will just slip in. I think they're going to. And then the other ones is, I think, Whitenbach. Whitenbach does not have as tough a competition, but I think he will get in there. And I think the other one would be TJ Hughes. There is a good chance James Higgins could get in, though.
Okay, I'm going to go with Trey Augustine. I know it's kind of a outside the box pick, but that's mine. So we'll see how it goes. We'll report it to you once we have the final 3, and then of course the winner.
Absolutely.
Have great success in the NHL. All right, and you wanted to talk about ACHA.
Yeah, so I'm going to be really quick here, folks. I just want to tell you something really cool that's happening. So the ACHA Combine is coming to Canada for the very first time. This is American Combine, okay? It's coming to Calgary in July 24th to 26th. There are this is as 10 days ago. There were 44 teams confirmed so far. They're open to male and female players that are 2010 born to 2005. And the camp is filling up. Only 200 spots are available. I think last I heard there might be 100. Now, I want you to know, this is being a big part of this. You can thank Daryl Wolski of our hockey agency, 2112. Big part of that. He's been putting out the numbers. They're working hard to make this happen. He's a mover and a shaker. Let's just say that. So exciting to see that the college hockey combines are actually coming to Calgary.
For sure. And the QMJHL, they've had some conversations, right?
Yes, absolutely. So they've had conversations around 2 different NHL draft eligible players in New England that could go to the Q next year, but they also have intentions. This is what's weird, to play in the United States Hockey League. They both shared the concerns of the Quebec's fighting world. So now it's starting to come in because there's some issues, as both don't think they should always be punished for sticking up for teammates. Now, specifically, Robert Chalmers is the one that he's the New England regional scout that I was chatting with. And he just saying, listen, I actually don't think, in his opinion, he does not actually think that this is a good thing, and it will actually hurt the Q. So other news, just keep your ears open, folks. Michigan State University coach Adam Nightingale, he is going to be named the head coach of the 2027 World Junior team. So get ready for that. He spent 2 years coaching in the U.S. With the National Team Development Program, which is a part of the USHL, before landing later in East Lansing, where he's kind of restored the Spartans now to glory around everything. So that should be interesting.
Well, and he won gold at the 2023 Under-18 IIHF World Championships.
He's back.
And so he's had some, he quickly rebuilt that program there in Michigan State. So he's very structured and detailed heavy, and emphasis on puck possession and transition plays. So it's kind of how Team USA wants to play. So it's a good pick, and you got a sure thing almost there. So that's pretty good. And of course, going back to Gavin McKenna, he's also been named in the Big Ten Freshman of the Year as he led all first-year players with 15 goals and 51 points and counting on in 34 games. I mean, awesome. The kid is just unstoppable, and he's going to continue to be, a beast. And just to wrap up around the rink with something with the NHL, we wanted to talk a little bit about Doug Armstrong and kind of some thoughts from Pierre LeBrun.
Yeah, so Pierre LeBrun actually came in on Insider Trading. If you guys watch on TSN, he says Don Sweeney, Julien Brisebois, Kyle Dubas, Jim Nill, and Ryan Getzlaf are the early candidates to actually have a shot at being the next GM of Team Canada. Just with Doug Armstrong now stepping aside. Unlike some people think he'll have some involvement, he won't. Yeah, he's got other plans that are going to be actually happening around it. So I look forward to seeing kind of how Canada goes about this next stage in this next place.
And that has been Around the Rink. All righty. Just a few other things just to kind of get through in the NHL. The playoffs are starting to begin April 18th following the end, which, again, top 3 teams per each division and the 2 wild cards. And potentially, if all games go to Game 7, with the final Game 7 being for the Stanley Cup Final on June 21st. So that's the latest that the Stanley Cup can be awarded. And just a few weeks after, we will have the draft happening. Again, we talked about how Bill Guerin has made comments, as well as some fans, about the format. Your thoughts on it changing to 1 to 8? I know Zylstra kind of indicated that that would be something that they could potentially change. Would you change it?
I'm not a 1 to 8 guy. If you're going to stay conference, then you stick with your 2 teams, go with your 2 wild cards. I'm perfectly fine with it. If I can just say this, I think the issue that I'm having here is Bill Guerin thinks that things should change because all of a sudden the Wild, it benefits them. That's really what it is. He's got 2 really difficult teams, and that's with Winnipeg on a down year. Yeah. So and
Utah on the up.
Yeah, exactly. So they're doing well. I get why Guerin's played in the West. Remember, he even played for the Edmonton Oilers once upon a time. So if people are not familiar, so he's used to the West. He understands it. He knows the travel. He knows all that stuff. But I've always said I'm a 1 versus 16. I don't think that – I know Eastern teams would never agree to it because I feel like the Eastern teams are selfish and they're greedy for their money and their lack of travel. But it is unfair when an Eastern team has less travel all leading up to the time of the Stanley Cup playoffs into the finals because they don't travel very much. It's a lot harder on the teams in the West, even throughout the season. And so when teams are, they're weaker – man, you try traveling for 6 days, 4 to 6 hours all the time, as opposed to a 45-minute plane flight into a little town that's like you got 10 cities all within an hour's quick flight on a charter. Some of them they can actually bus over to. So come on. I mean, this is why 1 versus 16 works. 1 is the best team in the league, the President's Trophy winner. 16 barely made the playoffs. Yeah. 16 means you have a better chance of getting by the first round. Let's get truly the best of the best into the finals. This was once upon a time before the league did a major expansion. Once upon a time, they did 1 versus 16 when there was 21 teams or 22. I can't remember what the number was back then. 21, I think. But that's what I want to go to. But if you're going to stay in the conference, then you need to reward divisions and then add those 2. So you know what? This was no different. Bill Guerin wasn't complaining back when Edmonton, Winnipeg, and Calgary in the 80s had to fight each other all the time and someone was going out.
So Zylstra wants 1 to 16, and she also says division and conference winners settle in regular season. What I think I just want to allude to, and I see this oftentimes because it does pertain to your thoughts on the juggernauts of Colorado, Dallas, and Winnipeg, Colorado, Dallas, and Minnesota right now. Even in the Pacific right now, it's very weak. It's, some of the teams in the East would definitely make the postseason if they were in the West. I get it.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
There's a pendulum's. What are you talking about? You don't think so? They would make it.
Okay, no. The reason they're saying this is because they have more points. It's because they're playing Eastern teams and not having to travel all the time. They're not.
Oh,
going out
well, yeah, I
right?
agree.
So I don't
think,
agree the Eastern side is as strong as people say.
well, you didn't let me get to my point, but fair
Okay,
enough.
okay, that's fair.
And
okay.
hey, I
You
hope you're
stole
doing well because Boston's doing well.
Hey, you stole 3 of my points earlier, so that's okay.
That's fair. So my only thing that I was going to say is that I think fans need to realize that the pendulum swings every year, and sometimes it's the West that is dominant versus the East that is dominant. It used to be that California was the death tour because you're playing the Ducks, you're playing the San Jose Sharks, which were on top of their game and one of those teams that should have won a cup but never did. And the LA Kings with prime Doughty and prime Kopitar, and we'll get into Kopitar a little bit later, but it just goes to show you that these pendulum swings, right? Last year, there was a slog in the East with teams trying to get into it, whereas the West was, it was competitive. Every year it switches, so it sucks. It's just the way that it's set up. But I think the format is what it is, but I would be open to having a 1-16 again. That being said, it wouldn't drastically, because we've done this before, it wouldn't drastically change the standings too much if, what's it called? The teams 1 to 8 plays 8, 2 to 2 plays 7.
So hey, well, it does. Some years it's more so, and other years it's not. But who's like the weakest team right now in the East, right on the edge?
Rangers. The Rangers.
Okay, okay. Like, let's just say they made it. Okay, they were the 6th. Hypothetically, they're not. But let's just say they were the 6th. Imagine you have the Colorado Avalanche versus the New York Rangers in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. That would be so exciting to actually. It's not fair to the Western world. They never get to see them. It's not fair to the Eastern world that they don't get to see some of the better teams like the Avalanche, or when the Ducks were on top, or when the Oilers are on top. I get why they do what they do, because it's all about money, and it's all about greed, and it's all about selfishness. But it is unfair playing ground when you have all the travel in the West and not in the East. But
all right.
hey,
well, we've kind of exhausted that topic, but we'll get on with it. So yeah, you guys can let us know your thoughts. I did want to announce that the World Cup. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, speaking of travel, we got some exciting news around that's just got announced.
For sure, yeah. The World Cup of Hockey has been officially announced for February of 2028, making the return of the best on best after a long hiatus. The NHL players and the association has announced that it's going to be hosted in Alberta, specifically Edmonton and Calgary, as well as Prague. That's awesome. What a big jump. So they're going to be the 3 host cities for the 8-team tournament. Of course, Prague and Calgary are going to be hosting the round robin. And this is also in the potential new arena for Calgary. So it looks like they have potentially an opening date for that new arena that Calgary is currently building. If you guys recall, we had Jeff Davison, former city councilor who ran for Calgary mayor, talk about the project. And then, of course, we know Rogers Place, which is one of the better rinks in the league right now. It's great. I've been there myself a few times. They're going to have the semifinals and championship game, bringing the best. And it's a great international tournament. And it's going to bring some great talent. So I look forward to potentially attending some of those games. Go ahead.
It's going to be great. And I would just say, I know some Calgary fans are all upset. They feel like they should get the whole thing. Folks, just remember, you don't know what's going to happen. There could be issues you run into with the arena. This is also, and Edmonton never got what they were promised, and they were supposed to have it within 8 years, all-star game or a draft, and they never got that. All the other groups started getting that.
Well, it may still happen, but yeah,
so,
not right.
No, I don't. I think now with them getting this event, the
decentralized draft, but I think the all-star game will still come at some point.
No, well, I don't think you're looking for at least another 7-8 years now, though. There's just too many other new arenas that come in and they want to reward them. Edmonton is getting the top of the top, and Edmonton would rather that than a draft anyway. I think because
this does bring in revenue for those cities, so that's also cool.
And the dressing rooms are very important. Having the hotel connected, all those things are important when you're bringing the world together. This is so.
And they did host a COVID bubble. Playoff format.
And Calgary will get an all-star or a draft right after. I think they'll get it before Edmonton will now. So guys, don't worry. Don't feel so jealous. There's no need to be jealous. Look at it as an Alberta thing. And don't forget, you got a lot of money actually that the government, the Alberta government, paid for you to get your arena. Edmonton didn't get that. Their own city had to actually take care of the dollars. So, hey, just to be fair, Alberta has to give some money back up north. Okay. So let me just finish. Hey, one last thought here. And then we're going to go into my Revs Top 15 to do my wrap. And then you can give your last thought. So I am amazed at Macklin Celebrini and where he is at. I said last year he should have been Rookie of the Year. I totally believe that 100%. Because he was really alone and playing number one center as an 18-year-old player. If we look at what he did coming out in the records that he actually had coming out Boston University, I think that's where he was, BU, trying to remember. So anyway, he was on a loaded team, yes, but he came. San Jose was a mess, not just defensively. It was hard to get around. However, if we remember Connor McDavid, his first year, he got hurt. And so he didn't play a full season. Next year, the guy went supernova, okay? But I want you guys to get this. Through the first 132 career games of Connor McDavid, he had 47 goals and 104 assists for 151 points, okay? Macklin Celebrini has more goals at 58 and has 98 assists for 153. So within the first 132 games of his career and being under a point per game in his first year, Macklin Celebrini, folks, has gone supernova. And I got to say that you got to love the fact he played with McDavid and has learned from McDavid. And I guarantee in the offseason, there will be some training together. I could see a McDavid along with Celebrini and even Bedard, by the way, which I'm still upset that Canada never took him. That was the guy they needed. So
interesting. So we're going to get now into Revs Top 15.
Revs Top 15.
Brought to you by the electronic hard rock band Penny Billionaires. Look for them wherever you find your music. Hey guys, it's been a little bit a while since we've actually got to bring to you a lot of the Revs Top 15. You want to go ahead and pull up our notes there. So I actually placed them into the numbers. I already have some changes that will be happening for you folks. So if you want to actually take a look, Caleb Mahaltra, I will be moving up. There has been a big difference, but I just want to take note here. I'm debating on Keaton Verhoff. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep him at that number. He may drop, but Gavin McKenna and Ivor Stenberg for sure will be my 1-2. And there's no changing this. Just like the year McKinnon, there was a lot of talk that he was not going to be the number one overall pick. And Seth Jones actually would take that spot. It's because all you hear about is the player, the next one, the generational, blah, blah, blah. I don't believe Gavin McKenna is a generational player, but I believe he's a franchise player. And he will change a franchise. Difference is he's not a center, so people will look differently. Bottom line is there is no centerman early in your top five probably going to happen. Now, I do want to just make mention of, you can see the list down below that I all have there in place. I will be, again, editing in, so we will actually make the change at the end of April. So early May, I'm going to do my last updated list of how this class has been. I think it's actually quite good, but some names I want you guys to think about, and I'm just going to mention, I'm not going to mention those top 15. I'm going to keep them there for you to see, look out for Alexis Joseph. Okay. He is a center out of St. John Sea Dogs in the queue, often ranked as number one across the boards through Athletic, TSN, Elite Prospects. He is 6'5" and 201 pounds. He's a prototypical big skilled center, and he just went first overall in the Q draft. You guys hear that? In the Q draft, 6'5" already, 201, big centerman already. He's already producing well early, and scouts love what he's bringing, okay? Another guy to look out for is Nazar Privalov. Okay, he's out of Russia. Now, he is going to be a top 2, top 3 explosive Russian winger with elite skill and some great scoring touch. Interesting enough, I expect he will be another top forward that is not going to be at the top. But another name to look out for that's the year after is Landon DuPont. We followed him all last year. Now, this year, he started kind of about where he finished last year. Now he is taking it up a whole new step. So So I think Privalov is going to be close to challenging DuPont potentially, because he also beat Kucherov's record for goals scored by a U17. So, but Landon DuPont guy, he's going to steal all the headlines. I'm telling you, he will go number one, hands down. But get ready for people to challenge it because of the way they do stuff. So, a quick note here: 2028. Some eligible, just some nut names to be able to look at. I want you guys to kind of think about, that you can actually think of Maddox Schultz. He's got limited games this year in Regina. Go look him up. Look up Liam Pugh. Madam Schultz is going to be the better player, I believe. He has some top and off the chart numbers and crazy numbers. We also know that we've talked about Little Celebrini scoring over with what is it? The North Shore Winter Club out in Burnaby. So some great stuff going on there. Even 2019, there's a guy named Max Melnichuk. He's a standout name, already a big player. He's out of Finland. So Timo, you're gonna love this guy, Max Melnichuk. And if you haven't followed him, he's gonna be great watching him coming up in these next parts. He's already 6'2" winger with skill. And he's not till 2028, folks. I don't know what they're feeding these guys. And just recently, Madame Desnaux, he's going to be also at 2028. Or is he 2029? I don't have my numbers in front of me. This guy just beat Tyler Benson's record, which formerly was Bantam, which is now U15 AAA. He just lit it up the whole league. Like they are coming out of nowhere. 2030. I know I'm way ahead of myself here. Cale Nickel. This guy has 141 points. He's 13 years old, scoring the highest point per game in league history, above even Tays. And then last guy I'm going to mention today is Texas native defenseman Cade O'Rourke. He has just been granted exceptional status for the OHL draft. He is projected to go first overall. I think that's a pretty big deal for a defenseman from the States. So anyway, I got more people and more things, but that's going to be a wrap for today because there's just so much going on in the world of prospects.
World's Top 15.
Brought to you by the electronic hard rock band Penny Billionaires. Look for them wherever you find your music.
All right, and that's pretty much close to the end of our show. Zylstra says more than 125 CHL already committed to NCAA in 2027 and 2028. So that's a big number, and look for that to change. I'm going to wrap up with one final thoughts before we end, and that was Anze Kopitar and him breaking the LA record for the most points in the history of the franchise. I know we had this conversation about Sergei Bobrovsky, but I also think that once he retires, Anze Kopitar is the first ballot Hall of Famer. He's a Selke winner, number one in history with Kings points, both assists and games played, over 1,500, 1,307 points, defensive two-way player, two-time Selke winner, two-time Stanley Cup champion, drafted in LA in 2005, and he stayed with, stayed with the franchise this whole time. Oftentimes you'll see players move around, but he has been there the whole time. He's had his farewell tour. And yeah, just in general, like a heck of a player, great career. It was a nice, most teams are kind of honoring him by having a handshake line at the end of each game that they face him with. And it's been great. So just shout out to the LA fans because you have gotten the gem, and it's going to be a big job to fill those roles, whether it is Byfield, whether it is somebody else, but you're missing out quite a bit. And then Timu says, hey, Evan, is it over now? It is, yeah. Zylstra says, great talk on prospects. So any thoughts before we wrap up about Anze Kopitar?
Yeah, the only I know we've talked quite a bit, but I always find it funny because I don't know why you always say first ballot. I don't know why you say first ballot. I don't see anything he's done that he'd be a first ballot. I think he is a Hall of Famer easily, but not first ballot when guys have been waiting 10 to 15 to 20 years to get in. That's all. That's
what Zylstra says. I think, yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Two guys in the history of the show, but sure, I'll go with it. So I'm 2 for 2. Let's see if I'm right. But that's been our show for you guys tonight. Thank you again for joining in, whether you're tuning in from Facebook, YouTube, X, Discord, wherever it may be. We are here every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We are on Facebook, on YouTube, on X at Revenev or Hockey_2. We love talking all things hockey. Remember to leave us a like. It really helps us. Go check out our website. We've got articles regularly. And thank you again to our sponsors. If you want to get involved, feel free to reach out to us. We love hearing from you. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
All good to go, man. You guys jump on your TVs, go to your recording, stay up, plan your nights, take your time off, go to your local. Playoffs are around the corner for a whole bunch of junior hockey and stuff like that. Take advantage. BCHL, the OHL, the Q, the NCAA. Go check your stuff out wherever you can. Even local university, if you're in Canada, U Sports. Right now, there's some players that have just moved from actually NCAA back to U Sports. So the world is changing, but go check out a game of hockey. Go learn it. Take the kids. You know what? If you have to, go buy them some extra pucks and just give them to them and say someone actually signed them for them. The kids will be like super excited and still want to go back to another game. So you got to train them somehow.
And as always, in the meantime and in between time,
guys, keep your stick on the ice.
Stay safe. Have a good night.